All right, back for another deep dive. And this time, we're going to tackle something that I know a lot of you Lions fans are already buzzing about: Owen Farrell's chances of making that 2025 tour to Australia.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic. And, we've got some interesting fuel for this conversation today. An article with Greig Laidlaw's take on the whole situation.
Oh, yeah. Laidlaw definitely adds an interesting layer here. I mean, he was on that 2017 tour with Farrell, so he's seen firsthand what Farrell brings to the table, but he also brings that kind of, you know, objective perspective as a former Scotland captain.
Exactly. And the article doesn't shy away from the elephant in the room, Farrell's move to France and how that could impact his Lions prospects, especially with him missing out on the Six Nations.
Yeah, he makes a good point about how that, not playing in the Six Nations could make it tougher for Farrell to kind of stay in the spotlight with so many other centers like Tuipulotu and Akia really stepping up their game.
Right. Laidlaw even mentions them specifically, saying that they've been playing really well, but then he drops this line that's a classic Laidlaw. He says, Owen is a test rugby player who knows how to win and never say never.
It's such a loaded statement,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
on the one hand, it acknowledges the challenges Farrell's facing, but it also kind of hints at that, that X factor he brings, that experience of winning on the big stage.
Definitely. And for a coach like Andy Farrell, that has to be a huge consideration, right? How much weight do you give to that Lions experience, even if a player maybe isn't getting as much international game time?
It's a tough call. I mean, you don't want to just hand out Lions jerseys based on past performance, but at the same time, you can't discount the value of having players who've been there and done that in those pressure cooker test matches.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance. And Laidlaw throws another intriguing idea into the mix. He suggests that maybe Farrell could be a strong candidate for that third fly half spot.
Oh, interesting. So kind of like a utility role almost.
Yeah. Exactly. He basically sees Farrell as a potential mentor for the younger players, maybe even leading that midweek team and, providing cover in the test matches if needed.
But would Farrell really be content with a less prominent role after starting all 6 tests across his previous 2 Lions tours?
Hmm.
That's a big question, and I think it speaks to just how much competition there is at fly half right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Laidlaw even says he thinks Finn Russell and Marcus Smith are probably the front runners for the starting spots, and it's hard to disagree with that given their form lately.
They've been on fire.
Yeah.
And then you've got the next generation coming through, guys like Sam Prendergast and Jack Crawley Laidlaw. Even questions if they're ready for that Lions intensity, though.
Yeah, it's that classic debate of youth versus experience, right? Do you go with the established stars or take a gamble on raw talent? It's something Lions coaches have grappled with forever.
Well, and it's something we'll definitely keep exploring as we go deeper into this whole Farrell situation. But for now, let's stick with Laidlaw's assessment. What else does he have to say about these young fly halves?
Well, he seems to think that while they've got tons of potential, maybe a Lions tour is just a bit too much too soon at this point in their careers, It's about finding that sweet spot between building for the future and relying on proven performers.
And one thing that's really important to point out here, the article doesn't actually say whether Andy Farrell will select his son or not.
Right, and that adds a whole other layer of complexity to this, doesn't it? I mean, Andy Farrell's in a really tough spot. He has to make the best decision for the team, but he's also got to navigate those accusations of favoritism, even if Owen's selection is purely on merit.
It puts both of them under a microscope, for sure. The pressure on Owen to perform and on Andy to justify that selection would be immense.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic, and it's one of the things that makes Lions selection so captivating for us as fans, right? We get to analyze and speculate and debate who deserves that jersey.
It's all part of the fun.
For sure. And, while Laidlaw makes some good points about Farrell's strengths, you can't ignore the counter-arguments either. I mean, that move to France is a big deal, especially when you're talking about a Lions tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's not facing that same level of competition week in and week out in the top 14 as he would in the Six Nations. And some people are saying that could be a real disadvantage for him when it comes to Lions selection.
Right. And it's not just about match fitness either, It's the intensity of those international games, the pressure, the speed of the game. It's a whole different ballgame compared to club rugby.
I see what you're saying. Those Six Nations matches, they're like a proving ground for Lions contenders. And if you're not in that mix, some people think you're automatically at a disadvantage.
Exactly. But then again, you think back to those crucial moments in 2017 when the pressure was really on and Farrell just stepped up and delivered. Can you really teach that kind of composure and big game temperament?
That's a great point. It's almost like there are these intangible qualities that you can't really measure in stats or training sessions, but they make all the difference when it comes to a Lions tour.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole debate so interesting, right?
Yeah.
How do you balance those intangibles like experience and leadership with things like current form and match fitness?
Yeah, Laidlaw seems to think that experience is crucial. He talks about Farrell's ability to bring a team together, to inspire the players around him. It's not just about kicking goals, it's about that leadership presence.
Right. It's about setting the tone, leading by example. And I think that's where the debate gets really tricky because it's not just a simple equation of form plus skill equals lion selection. There's this whole other layer of mental toughness, tactical awareness, the ability to adapt to those pressure situations.
Exactly. And Laidlaw even suggests that having someone like Farrell in the squad, even if he's not the starting fly half, could be incredibly valuable for mentoring the younger players. Imagine the impact he could have on someone like Marcus Smith, sharing his knowledge and experience.
Now, that's an interesting thought. Having a two-time Lions tourist like Farrell guiding the next generation, it could be a real masterclass in leadership and game management. But let's not forget about those other contenders for the fly half spot. Laidlaw himself mentions Finn Russell and Marcus Smith as potential frontrunners.
And you can't argue with their form lately. They've been absolutely lighting it up. And then you've got those exciting young players coming through the ranks as well. We've talked about the Irish fly halves, but there's talent emerging across all four nations.
It's a really exciting time for Lions rugby, and all this talent makes the selection process that much more intriguing. Who's going to rise to the occasion? Who's going to grab their chance? And who will Andy Farrell ultimately trust to lead that Lions attack?
It's a massive decision with huge implications, not just for the individuals involved, but for the Lions' chances of success in Australia. You know, a lot of people are already saying this is the toughest Lions selection in years.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. And, you can bet that Andy Farrell is feeling the pressure. He knows the weight of expectation that comes with being Lions coach, and he knows he has to get these selections right. It's all about finding that perfect blend of experience, talent, and temperament.
Exactly. And as fans, we get to watch it all unfold, analyze the contenders, debate the merits of different approaches. It's all part of the theater of Lions rugby, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, speaking of theater, you can't deny that the father-son dynamic adds another layer of drama to this whole situation. Regardless of Owen's form or whether his selection is justified, some people are always going to question whether there's a bias there.
It's like something out of Shakespeare, isn't it? The weight of legacy, the pressure of expectation,
Yeah.
the potential for conflict and redemption.
And it's a story that's going to keep unfolding as we get closer to that 2025 tour. Will Owen Farrell silence his critics and prove he's still got what it takes? Or will the Lions embrace a new generation of playmakers?
Only time will tell. But for now, let's shift our focus back to you, our listeners. We've presented the arguments, the insights, the different perspectives. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Okay, so we've really gone deep on the arguments for and against Owen Farrell being on that 2025 Lions squad. We've heard what Laidlaw thinks about his potential role, but now it's time to put you in the hot seat.
Yeah, imagine you, Andy Farrell. You've got this massive responsibility of picking a team that can go to Australia and win, and you got all these talented players to choose from, but also some really tough decisions.
Exactly. So let's focus on Owen Farrell for a second. Knowing what you now know about his strengths, his weaknesses, the whole context, would he be in your Lions squad?
And if so, where does he fit into your plan? Would you see him as your starting fly, half the guy leading the attack in the test matches? Or would he be more of an impact player off the bench, bringing that experience and composure in those crucial moments?
Or maybe, like Laidlaw suggested, you see him as that mentor figure guiding the younger players leading the midweek team. It's a different kind of role, one that requires a lot of selflessness, putting the team's needs ahead of your own. Would Owen Farrell thrive in that kind of situation?
Tough questions, right? These are the kind of dilemmas that Lions fans love to debate, and there's no easy answer, no magic formula for picking the perfect squad.
That's what makes it so much fun, though, right? You get to put on your selector hat, analyze all the different factors, and ultimately decide who you think deserves that Lions jersey.
Exactly. So we want to hear from you. Head over to our social media pages and let us know who your picks would be for the fly half position. Tell us what influenced your decisions and why you think your choices would give the Lions the best chance of winning in Australia.
Keep the conversation going, Lions fans, because this is about more than just a team. It's about a shared passion for rugby that unites us all. And your voices, your insights are a vital part of that tradition.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Owen Farrell debate. It's been a fascinating look at how complex Lions selection really is and how much weight those intangible qualities like experience and leadership really carry.
We have explored the arguments for and against, we've considered the different perspectives, and now we want to hear what you think. So until next time, keep those lions' flames burning bright.